Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you a game played between Bulau Andrei-Cristian and Grandmaster Georgescu Tiberiu-Marian, champion of Romania in 2018. This game was played in Romanian Championship Round 3 that was held between 1 and 10 March this year. At the end of the tournament, Tiberiu shared first place with international master Miron Lucian-Costin, but Lucian is the new champion of Romania because of the score ranking. Let's see the game. Andrei started with e4, Tiberiu replied with c6, and this is the Caro-Kann. d4, placing another pawn in the center, and both bishops can enter the game. d5, allowing the light-square bishop to develop, and white played d5, going forward, controlling squares in enemy camp, and this is known as advanced variation. Bishop to f5, knight to f3, developing a piece, and this is the short variation of the Caro-Kann. e5, black managed to get his last square bishop out of the pawn chain, a problem that would be hard to achieve in the French defense when black plays at the first move e6 instead of c6. White continue with bishop to e2, and next is castle. Black continue with knight to d7. Another way to play is knight to e7, c5, knight e to c6, putting pressure on d6 pawn, followed by queen to b6. And this is the recommended line against the short variation of the Caro-Kann on chess 24. This is the line with knight to e7, short castle, c5, c3, knight e to c6, bishop to e3, bishop to d7, a3, c4, knight bd2, bishop to b7, followed by castle, and in the game knight to d7 was played. White castle short, h6, controlling the g5 square, preventing white to bring his bishop to this square, and also this move allows his light square bishop to go to h7. White can continue his development with knight bd2 or protect his center with c3, but he played a4. I guess that he wants to play a5, controlling b6 square, not allowing the queen to come and pressure d4 pawn. In this position, black plan is to attack this pawn with c5. Knight to e7, developing another piece, and white continue with knight to e1. This is a move back, moving the same piece in an opening. It seems that white wants to relocate his knight to d3, controlling one more time c5 square. Another way for white was to continue development, for example put the knight on a3 or play a5, controlling b5 square, or defend his center with c3. Black continue with c5, c3, knight to c6, pressuring for a second time d4 pawn, and white defended this with bishop to e3, queen to b6, and in this moment white controls this square 3 times and black 3 times. Also, this queen move attacks b2 pawn, and white dark square bishop looks at black queen indirectly. So white continue with knight to a3, developing another piece, and if black takes on b2, the knight will jump to b5, looking at c7 square. That's why black played a6, controlling b5, and white continue with bishop to d3, forcing the bishops exchange. If black doesn't exchange the bishops, white will take, and he will inflict double pawns for black on the f file. That's why black took, white took with the knight, going forward, putting more pressure on c5 pawn. Black pushed this pawn to c4, attacking the knight. The knight can go to b4, but this loses a pawn. We can see that the best option for white knight is to go to f4, going back to c1 or e1 is not an option. We don't want to retreat. And before making a defensive move, we need to look at moves that might give us an advantage. In our case, white can take on c4, and after black recaptures, we can push d5 attacking the knight, and the bishop will attack black queen. After the queen retreat, white will take this knight, and we can see that at the end of the line, black can capture a pawn, being a pawn up. So this option is not good for white because it's losing a pawn. So the best options for white in this position is to play knight to f4. But in the game, he took on c4, d takes on c4, d5, queen to c7, d takes on c6, b takes on c6, and with this move, black created weaknesses on the queen side voluntarily. But he opened the b file for his rook. Better for black is to take with the queen. Now black has an isolated pawn on a6 and two double pawns on the c file. White continue with knight to f4, moving away from the attack, and black takes the pawn. In this position we can see that black has a pawn majority. White continue with queen to h5, pinning f7 pawn, and now he's threatening to take on e6. Also with this queen move, white finishes opening. His rooks are connected, king is safe, and all other pieces are developed. We are entering the middle game, and the plan in this phase of the game is different, and it's composed of two steps. The first one is to identify opponent weaknesses on the 5th and on the 6th rank, and the second step is to involve all our pieces into attacking these weaknesses. Weaknesses are weak pawns, weak squares, and undefended pieces. Another important thing that we need to keep in mind is that every time when we have a change in pawn structure or material, we need to update our plan. In this position, we can see that black weak pawns are the ones from a6, c4, c6. He has weak squares on a5, b6, c5, d6, and e5. For the e5 square, we can see that black can push f6, but in the same time he'll create a weak square on g6 and a weak pawn on e6. Regarding the pieces, the queen would be well placed on e4 square, attacking these two weak pawns. The rook from f1 can come to d1, controlling d file, and the rook from a1 can come to b1, trying to push this backward pawn. The knight can come to e2, d4, putting pressure on c6 pawn, and the bishop from e3 can come to d4, trying to exchange this knight, which is the defender of these two weaknesses. It's very important that after the opening we should spend some time to create a plan and then play faster. Let's see the game continuation, where black played g6, stopping white from taking on e6, but we can see that this move creates some Torsker's weaknesses around black king. For the moment, this is not a problem for black because his Torsker bishop defends very well these weaknesses. White continue with queen to h3, bishop to g7, and black is one move from castling short. In every position we should look for attacking moves, for moves forward in enemy camp, and even if they look bad at the first sight. In order to start an attack, we have two options. One, push the pawns, make contact between pieces, and exchange them in order to open the position. And the second option is to do positional sacrifice. In our case, the first option is not working, so we need to look for positional sacrifices. In order to do this, we need to divide the board into parts in our head and look for forcing moves in opponent camp, this area. Forcing moves are checks, captures, and attacking moves. In this position, white forcing moves in black territory are knight takes on e6 and knight takes on g6. You can see that the second move is not good because black can recapture with the knight. So the first move looks promising if white manages to kick this knight away. Also, white finishes opening and black is one step from doing this. So the positional sacrifice on e6 is a good way to break the balance. For example, after knight takes on e6, f takes on e6, f4, knight to f7, queen takes on e6 check, queen to e7, queen takes on e6 check, queen to d7, queen takes on a8 check, and we can see that white is winning in this position. So in the game, black played bishop to c5. This move prevents black from castling, but black can play long castle, which happened in the game, and white should continue his attack to look for moves forward in enemy camp. And a good idea for black is to play a5 and bishop to b6, trying to win the exchange. Instead of this move, white continued with queen to e3, but black played knight to g4, making the queen to move again. So queen to e3 is not an attacking move. Usually attacking moves should make our opponent to go back, not forward. White continue with knight to f3, attacking the knight. Black counter-attacked white knight. White took the knight, and black cannot take with the pawn because he's losing the bishop, so he's forced to take with the queen. And of course white doesn't want to exchange queens, so he played queen to e2, but this move allows black to attack white queen one more time. In the same time he attacks the pawn, so white played queen to e1, rook takes to b2, taking the backward pawn, and now we can see that the b file is opened. White played rook to b1, proposing the rook exchange. Black played rook to b3, attacking c3 pawn for a second time, and in this position white improved his queen position and he played queen to e2, looking at c4 pawn and at e2 h5 diagonal. Also the rooks are connected in this moment. Black should continue his plan to attack opponent weak pawns, and for this a good move would be to take the pawn from c3 and have a passed pawn. But in the game he decided to release the tension between pieces and he took on b1. White recapture. We can see that releasing the tension between the pieces helped white to bring his rook on the open file. Black brought his least active piece into the game with rook to d8, and white threatened mate on b7 with queen to b2. In this position, black defended this threat with rook to d7, but this is a blunder. If you want to find the drawback of this move, please pause the video and find the solution by yourself. With this move, black rook defends b7, black queen defends b8, but b6 square is unprotected, so white queen can go there. So we see that queen to c7 would have been a better move, because on this position the queen could defend the square. In the game, white played queen to c6, double attacking the c6 and a6 pawn, and black brought his queen back, proposing the queen exchange, and white took this pawn from a6. Black has two options to run with the king, but this is not good because of bishop to b6 pinning the queen and winning it. The other option is to play queen to b7, proposing again the queen exchange. White cannot take on b7 with the rook because of rook to d1 mate. So we need to look again at all forcing moves, checks, captures and attacking moves. We have one logical move with the queen, check, but black will recapture with the rook, and this doesn't give any advantage to white. As we can said before, white cannot take the queen. Since check, capturing is not working, we need to look for attacking moves. There is no attacking move, and when attacking moves are not working, we need to improve the activity of our pieces. The only piece that we have right now in black territory is the bishop. For this we need to look at moves forward for him, and we can see that a good move for black in this position is to play bishop to d6. With this move we block the rook from going to the d file, and if black queen takes on a6, white will deliver mate on b8, and if black rook tries to get the bishop from d6, he will lose the queen. In the game, white found this move, played bishop to d6, and black resigned. So this was the game between Bulau Andrei-Cristian and Grandmaster Georgescu Tiberiu-Marian. I hope you found this video useful. Please watch other games from my channel and leave some comments and suggestions in the comment section. See you next time. Bye.